Harry, we good? Oh, 15 seconds. Oh, countdown. Good morning, Miss Horn. Give me two
All
tenths. Give me 10 seconds and then we'll come in. All right,
right.
Harry.
We're good.
We good? Woo! Good morning, beautiful people. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. Welcome to the second hour of LoveBabz, LoveTalk. I am delighted. If you're listening to us on 103.5 WNHH, we are also live streaming on the NewHavenIndependent.org and all our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and wherever else Harry seems to put us. So listen, I am delighted to have CLOTEAL L. HORNE. She is the product of her grandmother's prayers, and she absolutely is the ancestors' wildest dreams. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, Babs. Good morning.
Oh, my God. I'm so delighted to talk to you this morning. I am unbelievably delighted. How are you? Welcome to New Haven.
Oh my gosh, it is a joy to be here, especially, here with this show. I am good. I'm up this morning. I'm preparing for tonight's show. I got my tea. I'm all grounded, all yogarized. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, let me tell people who she is, because I've been talking about you all week, girl. All week. I've been talking about you ever since I saw the performance. So CLOTEAL L. HORNE, you're a singer, you're an actress, educator, and a theater maker. You were born and bred in San Diego, California. You've got a ton of theater credits. I'm not going to read them all, girl. Anything and everything, you have done it. You hold a bachelor's in fine arts in theater arts from Boston University and a master's in fine arts in acting from Brown University. And you are standing on the shoulders of ancestors. So listen, let me say this to people. I went, and I've been talking about this all week since I saw you perform. I was not willing to go see this performance because I just felt like the time that I'm in, I just feel race fatigued. I was like, oh Lord. And I saw this with Anna Deavere Smith. Anna Deavere Smith's Fires in the Mirrors is iconic. So when my girlfriend Ife said, let's go, I was like, all right, girl. And I'm on the board of Long Wharf Theater. So I was like, I'm going to go because I got to support the theater. But let me tell you something. You were transforming and bewitching and amazing and stunning. And I had forgotten I had even seen this daggone play before. I had forgotten how wonderful. I mean, you just made it unbelievably beautiful. And I was mesmerized. Girl, I was mesmerized. So tell me, what made you say yes to this performance?
Oh my gosh, thank you for all that love. I literally have chills down my spine. Thank you for that love. So appreciative. Let me tell you, this was the biggest, wildest yes I have ever had to make in my life. When you say, like, we're in such a tender time, race fatigue, especially as a Black woman, like, I am feeling all these things. And I was like, is this the play that I want to be uh, fueling through my body in this moment? A play that's right at the center of a collision of two communities.
Mm-hmm.
A polarized time already in our day-to-day life and isolation. I was like, can I take this on? Am I ready? Can I do this? Those were all the thoughts. But I said yes because this team of artists, like, it might be a one-person show, but I am not alone out there. And, like, from the director to the stage manager, from the two producing houses, from all the individuals designers, everybody that knit this together, I said yes because my initial yes was because I was like, if I'm going to do this, these are the people that I want to do this with. This is the that I love and trust and know that we're going to, whatever we create, whatever we find out, that it will be a healing process, both in the art making process and on the other end. And that has been definitely true. And then I said yes because I was like, ooh, how juicy.
Oh, girl. Woo.
It's like the material don't stop. And it's like, I think, Anna Deavere Smith left such a gift and a blueprint for artists. And she's been she is iconic, you know. I learned from her, and I was like, if I'm going to have the opportunity to try my spirit to this, I think this is the right time. So it's the wildest, craziest, most beautiful yes I've ever made in my life.
Have you ever seen the production before? Because you're young, so you wouldn't have seen the original one.
So like when people tell me that they've seen the original, I'm like, oh dang, like like that's because she did her thing.
I saw it. Like I saw her do it, and it was transfixing.
Yeah, and so it's always very humbling. But no, I had never seen it. In fact, I have only seen excerpts of the PBS
Okay.
showing, and so when I officially said yes, that was a part of my work, right? I was like, we don't have the interview tapes. We just have these words that are on the page, and and it has left um, some breadcrumbs for us and like an incredible blueprint via this PBS performance. So I watched the performance
Okay.
and studied it in my own way and just learned from it, right?
It's so interesting because you become these characters. I mean, hell, you become Al Sharpton. I mean, there's enough footage of Al Sharpton to sort of, but some of these other people, you don't know these people, and yet you captured them, their accent, their movement, their persona. I mean, you captured it, and it's 26 characters, right? 26 characters, one after the other.
Yeah, ain't no break. There's a transition, but there is you fall into one and to the other, and that process is the gift. Like as the actor, to get to move from one part of myself to another part of myself, and like I mean, Anna Devere Smith like left it on the page, right? She wrote it in verbatim style theater. So like you can tell who a person is based upon the words that they say, based
Hmm.
upon their thought processes, the way that they transition from one thought to another. So that really became the work of, and she wrote it pretty exact on the page. When you look at it, you'll see ellipses, commas, dashes, and like I have to interpret those as the artist, but she left such a beautiful blueprint. And our incredible, dialect coach was a huge support in helping me find individuals who might carry the essence of those that aren't like, you know, folks that we know every day, right? Like
Hmm.
we can listen to that, but there are other folks like Rivka Siegel or, Robert Sherman who, you have to use your imagination, and that is a beautiful gift. I'm glad that in some ways I was like, I want those tapes. I want the verbatim tapes. And then I was like, well, actually, you're giving me such room with my imagination to create. And as an artist, that's like, can't ask for anything more.
So this production is a collaboration between Long Wharf Theater and Baltimore.
Yes, Baltimore Center Stage. Yes.
Yes. And so the director is a sister. Nicole, is that her name? Nicole?
Yes, Nicole Brewer. Hey, Nicole. That's my boo. She is a brilliant,
Now,
brilliant
have
lead.
you ever been directed by a sister before?
I have. I'm very fortunate to say I've been directed by quite a few sisters, and but it's still rare. It's still like not as in my trajectory. I wish it was like every time, you
Mhm.
know, because there's something very sacred and beautiful that happens, when for me when I get to be on the other end with a sister and like get to find where our commonalities meet and where they differ, and it's always been a very healing process, and that's true of working with Nicole because she's brilliant. She
I
is
mean, the
brilliant,
set design is gorgeous.
right?
And
I
I
was
love
like,
the sand. Tell me about the sand.
oh, the
Because that just felt very African to me.
Yes, very African, and like quite literally, like there is no better metaphor than the fact that I am on shifting sand.
Oh
You know,
my gosh.
literally, like feeling the balance of my weight and shifting, and I'm shifting through these identities. And I think that it became a real anchor for me. Like when, and Anna Devere Smith worked barefoot, right? So it's also a nod to her and her work. But to feel literally sand underneath my feet, there is something about it that just opens me up. It shifts my breath in a different way. And it is very African, it's ancestral. Like there's a moment when I'm passing through Dr. Leonard Jeffries, and he says, because with
Mm.
the earth is mother all over Africa. So I literally, like, that line always sings to me because I'm like, yeah, I'm in the sands, and it's complicated, it's messy, it's all of these things, but it's organic, and it's I don't know. There's something about it that grounds me, and especially with this set design, it's so it really is a reflective space, and it holds. I find as the actor, it holds me so beautifully and perfectly. It's just it's it's very natural. So it's only befitting that, like, I literally feel like a plant sometimes when I'm growing. All right, and these are my roots, and I'm rooting down, and all right, these are my limbs. So it's been a fun metaphor to play with as an actor.
It's a lot. It's when I first saw it, I was struck by all the things, and I love the circle. I mean, I'm one of these people. I can see all the things, symbols, right? I see all the symbolism, and whether they exist or not, I saw them. And the sand and the African baskets of holding the things that you changed into. I mean, it just all felt very intentional and deliberate.
Yeah, I think it was done with a lot of care and thought and precision, and I think that, and yet simplicity. I think that that's it's so effective and evocative. It's such an evocative.
So when you prepare for this, how do you prepare? 26 characters. Do you take them home at the end of the day? Do they live with you still? Like how do you separate CLOTEAL from all these people, right? Because there's a lot of people.
Yes, it is. In Tazaki, at the beginning, the opening offering is, she says that we are that I'm trying to think of it exactly, that we are, we're everything that's ever happened to us as well as our responses to it. You
Mm.
don't know what you're giving unless you know what you have, and you don't know what you're taking unless um, you don't know what you're taking. And so I really take that to heart when I think about this and when I experience these different essences. It's been helpful in the container that there are breaths that mark each of the transitions. So in some ways, those breaths help me release. But then afterwards, I have to start checking in with myself, knowing where I'm at today, knowing that I'm going to be accessing different parts of myself and being very fluid with that, right? There's a deep generosity that this project has had to teach me that I need to have with myself. So it's so and then I de-roll after the show. I have to. I take me a good shower and get me some bath salts, and I say, all right, and they're clear and it's clean. So in the same way that I do a warm up, I have to do a warm down for this. And it's really helpful that, like, these are the essences, that these are not there's no way that in a 4-week rehearsal process I would ever be able to take on the fullness of a person's humanity. I can acknowledge and pay tribute to it. And so there's a sense of myself and my own humanity that connects with theirs. And so I feel like I transform into them, but I never quite lose myself, right? I have to carry myself in it because that's a part of the investigation. A part of the investigation is, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be yourself? And each of these 26 different real human beings are teaching me a lot about myself. And so I really think of it as a practice in that way, a practice.
So when you're doing this work, when particularly this production, how do you spend time being critical of yourself or what you're doing? Are you thinking like, oh, you know what? I should do less of this, more of that, or oh, last night I didn't feel like I got that quite right. Like, do you do that kind of thing with yourself?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think I would be lying if I said I didn't. Right? It is totally human. It is so human. And then I think, oh, there are all these contradictions. And then I also say, this is not about perfection. Like I am very clear that there will be nights when I won't say the line exactly correct. And it's 140 pages. And I'm gonna give myself grace for that. I'm gonna say, all right, well, we'll do it tomorrow. Okay, let me look at this. But yeah, there definitely in the beginning in Baltimore, I was it when we did the run initially. I was like, oh dang, like, and I missed this, and I couldn't get my tie on correctly, and my shirt was. But now I have learned not to allow those things to be obstacles, but actually to embrace them because we're not hiding the fact that I'm transforming into these people. It's very clear, and that's a part of the joy, right? How do I acknowledge that, I couldn't get my buttons while I'm trying to talk, right? And I'm finding more and more freedom the more that I do it to just let it go. It is what it is in the moment that it is, and yeah, but I this has been a great practice of learning how to quiet that critical voice.
Mm.
And there's a rigor. Like I'm not, I have to be rigorous. There are times when I'm like, oh, I've slipped out of this person's speech pattern. And I have to be rigorous with myself with that. And that just means that the next day when I prepare, that means I'm back in that sound sample, that I'm back in trying to go deeper into what I need to learn about that person so I can do it. So it's a journey. It is for real a journey.
Mm. So when did you know you wanted to be an actor?
Oh, ooh. I would say I started off
Why?
I started off being like, I want to be a singer, but it wasn't until I was in seventh grade. I had this incredible drama teacher. I ended up being in the wrong class. I was supposed to be in the choir elective, and then I got put in the drama class because the choir class was filled. And it actually was, we went to go see a play at the La Jolla Playhouse. It was a one person show called Peter and Wendy. It's the first play I ever saw. So I saw this fierce black woman holding down the stage, and like there were puppets, and she was transforming into Wendy and Peter and all of these different things, and I saw that and I was mesmerized. I was hooked. And like I went up to my drama teacher at the end and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do what she did. And so it's actually very humbling that in this moment, and I'm only connecting it now in a real way that I'm doing that, that like my little like 13-year-old self that saw this woman holding it, a black woman experiencing so many dimensions of herself and transforming to so many other things. Like yeah, that was when I knew. And I just knew that no matter what, like, it fueled my journey. It fueled me, the way that I train, the rigor in which I train, the joy and the play in which I train with. Because I was like, I want to be able to do that.
Hmm.
And that night after night after night after night after night. Oh Lord.
All
Yeah.
right, so tell me about the singing. So is singing the first love, the greater love, or is acting becoming the greater love?
I would say in this moment, the expression is the greatest love, right? So any way that I can express myself, I wanted to be an opera singer. Like I grew up in San Diego, and so the San Diego Opera was there, and a part of my like drama club experience with this drama teacher, Hale Mayer, who has like become a mentor and a friend and a long time, you know, um, I don't know, He's brilliant. But he introduced me to the opera, and I was like, I was training to be an opera singer, and I really wanted to do that. And then storytelling, acting really started to take root. And so now I'm like, I want to tell stories through songs. I want to tell stories through movement. It's all expressing the human condition. So however I can do that, I'm game to learn to do it. I'm game to embrace the God-given talents that I've already had to do that. But yeah, so I don't know, you know, um, and it's beautiful because this piece is, I think about music a lot with this piece. Each of these characters, like August Wilson says that, we all have a song,
Yes,
right?
I'm a huge August Wilson fan.
Yes, me too, me too. That's, keeps me grounded. And each of these 26 different people have a song, have a musicality. And so all my musical skills I'm learning, they lend themselves in this.
Hmm.
They're all arias in their own way.
So during this performance, does it give you more confidence to say, I can do any damn thing I want?
You know what? It really do. Like I was like, oh, after I do this, because it was a journey. I had to sift through fear and doubt and questions and insecurities and all these things. But like I am now arriving to the point where I'm like, yo, if I did that in that time frame, I can do anything. Or at least I can't tell myself that I can't, right? Like there's no room for that because I've I feel like I've done my version of the impossible in this moment. And there will be
Mhm.
more things that are even it's definitely preparing me for the next thing. And I'm like, yo, all right, I can do this. I will do this. I choose to do this.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's very fulfilling in those ways and humbling, right? It's this to rise to this material is deeply humbling. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen every night. I'm like, well, I've looked at the lines today. Will I say them? We'll see, So there's this, yeah. So I'm like, yes, I can do anything. I humbly say that I can do anything because it's taught me that.
I
Yeah.
mean, the way that you move through these characters is so mesmerizing, and the range of the characters. I mean, I have some of my favorites. Like I mean, I love what you did with Al Sharpton. Like I just love that because I saw him. I just saw him in that moment. I love what you did with the young sister, the rap sister, who was talking about, the misogyny of rap music, and I was like, she has captured every young sister of that era talking about rap before rap became something else. And I was and it was such a wonderful, I don't hear that kind of language anymore. And you reminded people of the history of, but this is what it was. And this young sister is trying to remind, like she's talking about it. And in the face of being shunned a little bit for her stance on rap. I thought you did that beautifully.
Thank you, Babs. Appreciate you. Yeah, those are two pieces, like especially Big Mo, the piece you're talking about is like
Yes, I couldn't remember the name, but yes.
Mo. She is like, I love her. Like, like each of these characters teach me something and they give me something. I'm like, her courage, her joy, her
Mm,
the way that she uh, is so asserting herself and her identity. I'm like, yes, that is a gift that she gives me and reminds me that I have that within myself. And like understanding the importance of rap, but not only rap, but like females, the feminine energy within rap, within this, like the pulsation of that creation. And at that time, you know, there the other thing I love about this piece is that it spans generations, you know, like there are like to get to embody the youth and also the elders, you know, and the wisdom of that, and to be like these young folks in this piece are really throwing down wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
breaking it down, and like so are the elders in the piece, but you're also seeing how they're marked with their own bias, and yet, you know, there are folks like the anonymous young girl, or like the anonymous young man, or both one and two, that like they are just really have such a clear vision of what's happening and what's not, and they're so free in their expression to say what's on their mind and on their hearts and the things that they're grappling with. You know, it's a very I appreciate their honesty, you
It was
know.
good. You did a
They're-
good job. Tell me about your name. Tell me about CLOTEAL. Because that
Ooh,
does not sound like, that sounds like a, like your grandmama's people from the South or wherever they from, Arkansas, wherever. I don't know where they from, but that's an old name.
it's a very old name, and I'm actually named after my grandmother, Clotilde McClay, who raised me. I call her Mama Clotilde. I'm one of 10 kids, and I was raised by my grandmother ultimately. And yeah, so like that name, I'm always like, Mama, where did you get that? Where did it come from? You know, and it has such a rich legacy. Like there's literally like a slave ship that's called the CLOTEAL. There was a young girl, you know, named CLOTEAL, and like so it's so rich, and it means princess, one of noble standing, and like I just you know, I thank God that my parents gave me that name, and especially because it's my grandmother's name, and we're tight. We're in fact she'll be here within the next week. So
Oh, wonderful. It is a beautiful name. And I was struck by it because I saw your name before I saw you. And I thought, that is an old name. Like, how'd that girl get that old name?
so old, you know. And then it's like, yeah, and then like Lee, which is my middle name, is my father's middle name, and is several of my brother's middle names and my grandfather's name.
I
So I
love Black people because we all do. I have that same deal in my family. Everybody has everybody's name. And that speaks to ownership, like, you know, because we were sold away from each other. And so you would give names so that you could stay connected to family and roots and show the lineage of you didn't just come from nowhere, that you came from Lee and Lee 1 and Lee 2 and Lee 12. And yes, that's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful, you know, counteracting to like literally, you know, what Minister Conrad Muhammad says in the piece. You know, he's like, they took from us our names and gave us names like, you know, Smith and Jones, you know, and today we wear those names with dignity and pride. And it's like, yeah, that kind of ownership. It's like, no, listen, this is my seed. This is
Hmm.
my legacy, you know,
Yes.
and that is I love that twerk of the, you know, of twerking that meaning. Yeah.
So before I let you go, because I know you got to go and you got to get back to doing, you know, production things. Talk about the where you see yourself. What's the goal? What's the dream? What's the biggest dream for yourself?
Ooh, my gosh, Babs, I knew you were not gonna let me leave without really. That is such a huge question, and I think that I continue to. I mean, my prayer is that as I continue to cultivate my gifts, um, that they are on stages and screen that really can minister to folks and individuals, you know, like I really think that art is so powerful, right? I've dedicated my life to it and I continue to. And I think that I don't have specifics about what it looks like. I know what it feels like. I know when I've come in contact with it, with, you know, with my fully expressed self, but I am just like eager to um, bring forth like the matriarchy. I'm really excited to like be exploring all the all the different dimensions of femininity, of like Black womanhood, of, you know, really understanding both the imposed limits and also the abundance and limitlessness of it. And so I don't know what it looks like, but I know what it feels like, that sense of liberation. And however that looks, both on stage, on film, on screen, you know, in community gatherings, however those talents and gifts can funnel through me in order to move forward, the beauty of women, of it's just like because I think about my grandmother, right? And I think about my mother, and I have 6 sisters, and like, if I just want to tell each and every one of their stories and my story, and I just think that there's such beauty and healing in that. So I don't know. That's where I'm at in this moment, and doing that both on a personal level, but also a communal way. Like, it's really important to me. Community, gathering, being with others, and grappling with this. It's not neutral to me that I have the fortune to be doing this piece right now, which are a community of voices coming together around a collision, and I think that there is healing in that. And that's what I'm interested in and dedicated in. It's like dedicated to. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I so appreciate this conversation. I could talk to you for hours because you are just a delight. I enjoyed your performance is a tour de force. I'm so glad I got this. I'm so glad I made the decision to get myself to the theater that night, because I still feel the effects of it. I still feel it in my spirit. I lived through that time, but you really, I mean, Anna Deavere Smith would be very proud, I think. She'd be very proud because you stepped into that role beautifully, and I was just mesmerized. So I want everybody within range of my voice to go get your daggone tickets and go see this young sister mesmerized on that stage with this story. That is a true story. Go and see her in Fires in the Mirrors. Thank you so much, Miss CLOTEAL HORNE. You are a delight.
Thank you.
And enjoy your performance tonight.
I'm going to be there. All right. Take good care.
Take good care. Thank you so much. Okay, Harry, play us out on this beautiful Friday. And let's get on out the door. Yes. It is Friday. And make sure y'all get to the grocery store because storm tomorrow. I hope you're being taken care of, Miss CLOTEAL. Let me know if you need anything, girl. Thank y'all so much. All right, everybody, have a good weekend. I'll be back on Monday. I'll